In recent weeks, unknown drones have been appearing more and more frequently over airports and military facilities. Because of them, operations have to be halted and special services are put on high alert. The Wall Street Journal writes that Europe is living on the edge between the shadow of war and a fragile peace. Sabotage, cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns. Russia is using its entire arsenal. What could all this lead to, and how's the European Union planning to defend itself? Let's figure it out. Explosive packages, mysterious warehouse fires, damaged undersea cables. During the full scale war against Ukraine, Russia has repeatedly tried to destabilize Europe. Now the aggressor is actively deploying drones. Unidentified drones are being detected more and more often over military facilities and critical infrastructure in EU countries. You think? After the large-scale attack on Poland on the night of September 10th, when several Russian drones were shot down over the territory of a NATO member state, the Kremlin should have calmed down. But in Moscow, they listened to all the accusations and warnings and kept going. Now, for example, up to 3 unidentified drones a day are being detected just in the skies over Germany. According to the country's Ministry of Internal Affairs, these include both small commercial drones and groups of larger UAVs.
For Russia and other adversaries of the West, including China, Iran, and North Korea, even small acts of sabotage can yield big dividends. After all, Moscow is bogged down in the war against Ukraine and cannot engage in open combat with NATO. Such incidents are part of an intensified campaign that Russia is waging against the continent because of its support for Ukraine. From a publication by the Wall Street Journal.
Hybrid aggression. Not only Russia's involved, but also Belarus. From Belarusian territory, balloons and drones are launched into the airspace of neighboring countries. After weather balloons repeatedly caused airport operations to be halted, Lithuania even closed its border with Belarus for a month. But it seems that such measures had no effect on Lukashenko. On the night of November 11th, Lithuanian border guards shot down a drone and 8 balloons launched from Belarusian territory. The weather balloons were carrying more than 13,000 packs of smuggled cigarettes.
All the cargo had GPS trackers attached, which the smugglers used to monitor the location of their packages. According to preliminary data, there were more than 13,000 packs of smuggled cigarettes in total. A drone from Belarus also flew into the Shelcheninkai district. Border service officers quickly used anti-drone equipment and brought the device down. From a report on the website of Lithuania's national radio and television company. In
Belgium, there's also been an increase in cases of unidentified drones appearing over military facilities and airports. This has led several times to disruptions in their operations and even complete shutdowns. The chief of the Belgian Armed Forces staff has already called for all suspicious drones to be shot down. Although, according to him, this is not easy to do. The drones mostly appear at night, making them difficult to track. In addition, the Belgian army's resources to combat drones are still limited.
Belgium's drone defense program is being implemented at an accelerated pace, and the corresponding plan will soon be presented to the government. Currently, Belgium's resources for countering unidentified UAVs, particularly detection equipment, jammers, and anti-drone weapons, are limited. If a larger number of drones appear over military bases, the military will shoot them down. The order's already been given. Such measures will be taken if it is safe and does not cause collateral damage. Frederik van Sina, chief of the General Staff of the Belgian Armed Forces, in an interview with Newsblad.
By the way, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius suggested that there is a direct connection between the recent drone incidents in Belgium and the discussions about using frozen Russian assets. In his opinion, this is how the Kremlin is trying to put pressure on Kiev's partners and intimidate European countries to prevent them from making decisions in favor of Ukraine.
We all think so, and so do the Belgians. These actions are meant to sow uncertainty and fear in Belgium. Basically, it's a warning. Don't touch the assets or else. There's no other way to interpret it.
In just the past 2 months, 87 suspicious aerial objects have been detected in the territory of the European Union. The Times reports this. Activity was observed in at least 15 NATO countries, most frequently in Germany and Belgium. At the same time, about a third of the drones were headed toward military facilities, including air bases, barracks, and ammunition depots. The problem has grown so large that the Royal Air Force of the United Kingdom has sent its specialists and equipment to Brussels to help combat UAVs. The head of the UK Defence Staff, Richard Knighton, emphasized that all of this vividly demonstrates the threat coming from Moscow and that NATO allies need to strengthen their measures to counter the aggressor's hybrid attacks.
The Strategic Defense Review has made it absolutely clear that our future, our present, is unstable and uncertain, and that the threats to the alliance and the United Kingdom are growing. That is exactly why we need modernization. That is exactly why we need to ensure, so to speak, our readiness for combat operations. That is exactly why the government has committed to investing unprecedented amounts in defense over the next several years, more than I have ever seen in my entire career.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky believes that the Kremlin is testing NATO's boundaries for strength. In an interview with The Guardian, the head of state warned that Russia could launch new aggression against one of the European countries even before the war against Ukraine is over. With such actions, Putin aims to undermine the unity of the Allies and destabilize the situation in the region.
The Kremlin is waging a hybrid war against Europe and is testing how far it can go, probing the limits of NATO's patience. Putin is in a hopeless situation in terms of achieving real success. For him, it's more of a stalemate. That's why these failures might push him to look for other territories. For us, this is very difficult, but we are at home and defending ourselves. Friendship with Russia is not a solution for America. In terms of values, Ukraine is much closer to the United States than to Russia. In the Pokrovsk direction, Russia has deployed about 170,000 troops, and the fighting in the Donetsk region remains the fiercest. That's the whole story. There is no success for Russia there, and there are many casualties. In October, Russian army losses reached a record level of 25,000 killed and wounded. Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, in an interview with The Guardian.
The European Commission is currently developing a military Schengen plan, which will simplify the movement of soldiers, equipment, and ammunition throughout the European Union. According to the publication Politico, Europe has 5 years to prepare for a possible war. By 2030, the European Union needs to have a strong enough defensive position to deter an adversary and respond quickly to any acts of aggression. And the main thing here is to act quickly.
The EU's executive body is also urging countries to make joint arms purchases and wants at least 40% of defense procurements to be made through joint contracts by the end of 2027. Currently, this figure is less than 1.5%. The roadmap also sets target indicators. By the year 2028, at least 55% of all arms purchases should come from companies based in the European Union as well as Ukrainian companies. Furthermore, by the year 2030, this figure should increase to at least 60%, according to a report published by Politico.
Well, it seems that Russia has no intention of stopping and continues to test the patience of the West. Putin doesn't listen to warnings or demands. That means he will keep trying to intimidate and sow chaos. Strength and sanctions are the arguments Moscow understands best. And any statements of deep concern or attempts to negotiate are seen in the Kremlin as weakness.